the winner, which Uzodinma declared, that's Daosa, as the party flag bearer of the party. Guess what? One of the party, the election that was held at Iseyamo's election that produced a certain candidate called Dekiri, went to Abuja to ask for what? The certificate as the flag bearer of the party. Now, the three of them met at Ganuje's office yesterday. Drama started. Now, why this is the ruling party, APC, in the country, and drama is happening at the PDP, at the primaries in the APC. Let's talk about the drama that happened there. Now, is it that it's difficult for them to conduct a party primary to bring out a substantial candidate for the party?
No, it's not difficult. But especially when you don't intend to abide by the results of the primary, then it becomes very difficult. In other words, you're looking for extra electoral means, to distort and to ensure that you come on top, which means you do everything possible. So, of course, they know what they're doing. Of course, they know that in a free and fair election, they know that a candidate will emerge, one person will emerge. And what they've done is to muddy the waters. And I think you could use this scenario that if I cannot get it, then nobody will get it.
Okay.
In other words, these people are prepared, you understand, to sabotage their chances, even to the extent that they allow, you understand, the ruling party in that state to get in. So it's rather unfortunate. And it speaks to you as to the organization of APC within Edo State, and even nationally, you understand, that they're not in charge and they have not got a grip of the process, from that point of view. Because it tells you if there are three primaries being organized, it tells you the party is unorganized.
Separately.
Yes, it tells you that the party is disorganized. That's what it is. And it doesn't tell us much. It doesn't give us much hope that this same party, you understand, is in charge of the federal government, in charge of the perilous economy that we face, and in charge of so many of the questions that we're facing personally. So it's a disgrace, utter disgrace, that's what I would say.
Okay, now, Comrade Shoniolu, the point is each of these candidates came out and delivered their acceptance speech. Each of them came out with each of their acceptances, declaring themselves as the winner. The one was done in the residence of a particular member of the APC. That's the home of Pastor Iseyamo, who happened to be a member that wanted to contest as well, but stepped down. Now, the one was conducted by the one that's led by Uzodinma, and the other one was conducted as elsewhere, where a stakeholder declared himself as the winner as well. Three candidates, each of them declaring themselves as winner. Then all Ganjude could just say, each of them should just calm down, that they are on top of the situation. What does it say about the APC?
Okay, so let's begin with the fact that the APC has proven to show a nepotism system in their choice of ruling. Because in every sane democratic system, we understand that they should come up with solid results. When I mean solid results, something that is substantial enough that people can see as a testing proven means.
Okay.
So if they are coming up with three results, it just shows you how the home of confusion is being joyed in their territory. And they cannot even control themselves or put themselves in order. That's why they are coming up with this kind of results. So it shows the distrust in the system, and it shows that we have a poor electoral system. Because if you are organizing the primary, which is meant to be the person who will come out as the flag bearer of the party, this should be someone of credible governance, someone of proven leadership track record and performance skills. But if we are having three ridiculed results that are being thrown to our face, and Nigerians, like we've been accepting it.
Okay.
We have been accepting it. So what can be done now is to come up with one other primaries that will be done again over.
They should retake it again?
Yes.
In your own opinion?
Yes, because I do believe that those cock and bull story that they've actually shown us, it does not show any sense of credibility and any sense of formality in their system.
Okay.
So I think we should retake it.
Okay, now, Professor, the stakeholders reject the results and call the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Ganduje not to recognize Uzodinma's declaration. That's one of the candidates now. The point is this: this is just the primary of a state, of a political party, not the general election of the state. What are we going to be expecting when the general election for the state comes up?
Probably worse, but you have to remember that Ope Uzodinma, who is the chairman of the electoral, whatever we call it, you have to go back into history and establish how he even became governor in the first place.
Okay.
You know, even the election, that is re-election, you have to ask questions. You cannot give what you don't have. We're expecting too much from Ope Uzodinma. You understand? So if somebody, you understand, it basically is drenched, surrounded in controversy, then of course they're going to sprout out that controversy. So what do we expect in the general election to come? I don't think we expect much better. The present INEC, as is presently constituted, there are very few people who believe that they are able to deliver free and fair elections under any circumstances. One would expect that because there's just one election, it is easier, or two elections, or whatever the case might be. They've proven in the past that they can do it. But after having the debacle of electronic transmission, of BVAS, and so on and so forth, they are confused. The courts itself, you understand, has already, given judgments which are not very, very clear. So INEC itself in a state of quandary, as to what to do really, whether to do the right thing or not to do the right thing. But we'll see how it goes, whether they would organize an election, which we could call an election.
It's an unfolding drama, actually.
It is an unfolding drama. We'll see how they will handle it, you understand. Normally, INEC should be able to organize a free and fair election.
But INEC was there.
State,
INEC was
there.
No,
they always have representatives. That's it. Yes, but it tells you the disarray that doesn't just infect the political parties, but INEC itself. My own view, and I've said it before, is that the present chairman of INEC ought to resign. He has no business being there.
Really?
Yes, he has no business. No, not after the elections that we had in 2020. What was it? 2023.
Yeah.
Was a court-declared result. It wasn't because people had expressed their votes clearly. I'm not saying that it goes contrary to the wishes of the people, but the courts had to intervene in most of the elections.
But most of the elections in Nigeria, we've seen the courts come in, even to the extent that they get to the Supreme Court.
But not on the scale. Not on the scale of the last year. It's always been that, but not on the scale, the enormity or the quantum that we had last year.
Okay.
Last year was much more. If you look at the statistics, we had much more challenges, much more litigation than we've ever had in the past, and it's on the ascendancy.
Do you think it's because Nigerians are finding it difficult to accept the fate? Probably when you lose, you want to just take it, and you know that there's a judiciary, that will come around to support you or fight for your cause at the end of the day, until when you get to the Supreme Court, before you know, arms down, you've been defeated.
And I think what's happening is that there was too much expectation from the last election because we had introduction of technology.
Okay.
And so many people thought, you understand, that technology will be the silver bullet.
Did it work?
Well, it didn't work. That's why they're going to court. And so it's part of that, managing that disappointment that has allowed them to go into litigation. If it had worked, you understand, you would probably have got less court challenges. Okay. So they were challenging the fact whether BVAS is what should be, the relevance of BVAS. They were challenging electronic transmission, even though the Electoral Act was clear. They were challenging what it actually meant. They were challenging whether the ballot box papers should be stamped, and if they're not stamped, the validity. So there's so many things. And then pre-election matters were also the issue. Pre-election matters as to whether the person is qualified, does he have the result. So there were so many things that came up. And I think the reform that needs to happen is that pre-election matters needs to be sorted out, removed, you understand, from the INEC's jurisdiction, as it were, so that when you go for election, we just concentrate on the electoral process itself. And the courts will deal before the election with pre-election matter. And finally, that all election petition or arguments or litigation end before the respective candidates are sworn in.
Okay, yes, the program is a political roundtable on Print 89.7 FM Ibadan. Yes, let's go to this one before we go to the protest and what's happening in the country. Let's quickly talk about this. And I want to stay with you, Comrade David Shoniolu. And yes, 200 million illegal arms in circulation in Nigeria. It's coming from Governor Sani. The Kaduna State Governor, Senator Uba Sani, has raised an alarm over alarm that over about 200 million firearms in circulation in the country. Sani gave this assertion when he was being interviewed by the newsmen on Sunday, saying that the proliferation of arms was responsible for the rise in the security of the country, calling for a review for the firearms law in the country. Over 200 million. I don't want to believe this stats, but when I remember that Sani happened to be a former senator and a serving governor of a state, it seems like there are truth in it. Over 200 million. Is Nigeria at war?
It is a concerned governor, ex-governor rather, that has given his own view of that. I do believe the correct statistics he gave is correct. Okay. And we've seen that over time because, I've said this before, we have the top men sponsoring these weapons for the bandits or for whatever name they want to give them. Headsmen, militants, whatever name. We have top dogs that are sponsoring this. And that is why Nigeria cannot move forward, because the money that is meant to be for the mass of the nation is being squandered into buying weapons for these people who are serving as a threat to the serenity and the distance of peace, which is the first universal human declaration by the UNO, which is world peace. So they are sabotaging the people by giving them free hand, and there's been a free flow of us seeing the insecurity worsen day by day.
How did this 200 million arms, according to the governor of Kaduna, get into the country? If we want to say through the borders, don't we have customs that are supposed to man our borders?
Definitely, but we know how the back end of Nigeria's system works, because there's been a free flow of passage of goods, of things that are unimaginable, that even pass through the sea. So it's not just even custom, that pass through water. So it's not just even, but pass through air. But they are not being stopped. Why? Because they have the bigger hand, the top dogs that I referred to, sponsoring them. So we need to cut loose of the territorial chains that are being bound to Nigeria as a country. If not, we cannot move forward.
Okay. Or Professor, Comrade John said we have territorial chains, and according to what you are a lawyer and a trained one for that, and I want you to talk. I want you to look at this aspect that Governor Sonny made a point. He said, and he talked about the issue of the firearm law in the country, and he stated this, that the firearm law in Nigeria has been there for over 30 years, not amended. He said that our own country is different from our firearms is different from what is obtainable around the global practice. Now, he said Nigeria is the only country where you can arrest someone with illegal firearms and can take the person to court, and you will be released based on some charges, and you will not be in prison. You can pay a fine as little as 50,000 naira, and you are let go. According to what Obasani said, you are a lawyer. Please take us up to that, Professor.
Well, the Firearms Act, which is responsible for the control of firearms in Nigeria, has actually been around, you understand, for the past 67 years.
67?
Yes. And the Act provides that no person shall have in possession or under his control any firearm or ammunition except the such person has a license from the President or the Inspector General of the Police.
Okay.
So already, if anybody that has firearms without the express permission of the President or the IGP owns those guns illegally. Okay. Firearms, of course, we have to go to the definition. So it is true that the laws are archaic, and it is true that the laws need to be revised. But I think we have to, there's an existential question we must resolve. Do we want a nation of arms, bearing in mind what happens in places like America? Or do we want a nation where arms are not held by anybody other than the police or a few select people? And people would argue that already the country is already awash with millions of arms anyway, according to Sonny. I don't know, I got his report.
I don't know how to got it as well.
But must have got it from somewhere. You understand? But what is quite clear is that there are lots of arms. And those arms come from legitimate and illegitimate sources. What do I mean by legitimate? Some of them are resold, and illegitimate, it comes through the borders. You're talking about the borders, but it's not the same borders that they were attempting to take some food across, some produce, grains across recently. I think it was yesterday or so that they were arrested. So our borders have always been porous and notorious. As people argue that our borders, especially in the north of the country, you understand, are very porous. Even in the south of the country, how do you think rice comes in, the Cotonou rice? It comes from smuggling, and it happens on a daily basis, from that point of view. So I think the porousness of our borders, you understand, has been the problem. But more importantly, the problem has been we are under-policed. So when this happens, you understand, the police is not enough, either because we have the federal police and we don't have policing in various areas. We have how many police? About 370. Our population is about 220, if we were to believe that. That's an under-policed state. So of course, all this criminality is bound to replicate itself and to expand, because simply the police cannot cope.
But Professor,
yes.
Sorry to cut you this. I wonder, because Obasanjo is actually letting us understand that the reason why we have so much insurgency in the country is that 200 million. But we need to get something clear. We are looking at something. We are taking our eyes off something. This firearms doesn't come cheap.
No, well, do you say it doesn't come a round? Really, those rounds and so on and so forth. They cost about £12,000. The rounds, so the 1.6 mm.
Do all ordinary
not £12,000, so 12,000 naira. Sorry,
okay.
I don't know why I said pounds.
Okay,
yes.
Right.
So they're not the bullets itself. You could have the gun. The gun becomes decorative, except you have the bullets. The bullets are about 12,000, and it comes in a pack. You understand? I know this because I've been speaking to military.
Okay.
It comes in a pack. So if you have 12,000, you can get about 12 or whatever amount of bullets.
So is that the reason why we had a lot of insecurity in the country? The kidnapping is on the rampage. What we are experiencing in the country is what we can see we've not seen in the past how many months. Even from the seat of power, where we have all the paraphernalia of office, where the heads of the military are stated to, there are still kidnapping going on there.
We can't divorce insecurity from poverty. We can't divorce it. They are linked. But that's not the only reason. Part of it, of course, is corruption. Part of it also, because all these arms and being fueled also come from some of the services concerned. But of course, poverty also plays a significant role. And of course, religion plays some role, not too significant, but it also plays some role. Ethnicity, but not too significant. I put the major drivers. And so these drivers, we need to address it. You remember that a lot of people are out of school. Most people out of school are recruiting sergeants, you understand, for those who want the insurgency or the criminality to continue. So we have to address all this problem, not just one problem, but on a multitude of fronts.
Okay.
And of course, structurally, we need to look at the policing arrangement, and I've said it. The argument in this country has always been state and federal, and I don't agree. There's also a place for regional policing, because regional policing ensures that state governors do not abuse the state policing, which is one of the arguments of some people.
And there's some talk about the state police. Let me ask you, Commissioner Olu, the word state police, some feel it's going to be just the usual. And some tell you that we are clamoring for the Amotekun. Has Amotekun actually done much? Some will tell you is state police not going to be a way where the individual governors, the state governors, we're going to start feeding fat on it. Some said with this state governors not use the state police into their own advantage and to the disadvantage of people in non-team power. State police to you, is this a solution to go for the insecurity in the country?
Yes, you can consider it as a way forward, because we have the state police as a driving tool that are already familiar with the state itself. So there is not going to be any sort of favoritism when it's being coming to the patriotism of where you are from.
Okay.
You are going to have your due diligence being monitored by the state government itself. And of course, there would be more remuneration in their fees to make them feel comfortable, not feel okay, feel comfortable as a police officer, not to collect bribe from any person or any private individual. Because if you see advanced countries like the USA and they have police officers that are well fed in terms of remuneration and care. So that assurance has to be there. And the state policing, we cannot also undermine the efforts of the Amotekun because they've contributed a colossal effort to the magnitude of curbing insecurity and also navigating the rural parts, because the Amotekuns are more indigenous, let me put it that way, and they understand how these people think because it's a psychology, and those people that are from that terrain can have the most understanding of what they are trying to get. Although they don't have much advanced weapons because they still use their but we can still commend them because they have more traditional ways of making effect.
All right.
But the solution is the solution. We're not talking anymore.
All right. I understand what you mean by indigenous, and I know you understand what you're saying as well. Professor, should security be localized?
No, certainly it has to be, and I think the best way to localize it is to find ways in which the policing is closer to the people. Sir Robert Peel, the father of modern policing in the United Kingdom and the West, talked about policing by consent. And policing by consent only operates when the police come from that area, know the area, understand the area, the nuances, the cultural traits, the terrain. Police that comes from Sokoto is not going to be able to police rivers effectively because it's not going to be by consent. I need, when the person policing me, I need to know that he looks like me, he understands me, he speaks like me, you understand, and that's where the respect comes from. Otherwise, you look at them as aliens coming from outer space. That's just the reality of the situation. So, of course, local policing, but as I've said before,
would they not still compromise?
Because it depends on the way you do it.
If I'm a policeman, local policeman,
yes,
and I know Professor Olu Ojedokun is a highly esteemed personality,
yes,
and you will look for a way to look for me, to care for me, probably pay my child's school fees, and we'll become friends.
No, but that's it. If the police are not being well paid, are not being well catered for, are not being well trained, because what we have now is that we are policing. It's only in Nigeria. Well, maybe not only in Nigeria, but in Nigeria, what happens is that we have police and we barrack them. You understand? We put them in barracks. If you go to the Western world where policing works, they don't put them in barracks. They actually live amongst the people because they can afford to. They are paid well. So we barrack these people and then we bring them out and we expect them to serve the people. You understand? No, they are apart from the people. They don't serve the people. They oppress the people. That's what they do because that's their training and that's their ethos. And what do we call them? We call them the Nigerian Police Force. So, of course, force is what they deploy.
Okay. The program is still Good Morning, Political Roundtable, I beg your pardon, on Prince 89.7 FM Ibadan, Facebook at Prince 89.7 FM Ibadan. Anoluwapo Aluko said, Shoniolu David to the world. Good morning, Prince FM. Thank you very much. Anoluwapo said, thank you. Okay. Otumba Downs Yola Olu. Yes, thank you very much. And Vibes Victor Flyboy said, good morning, sir. I'm enjoying you. Well done. Okay, thank you. And Isiaka Swara said we only need state police. It seems Isiaka is trying to corroborate on what you rightly said about the state police. Gentlemen, let's go to the next talking point. And where's the next talking point taking us to? I guess this will form the bedrock of our discussion before we open the phone lines. We need to understand that last week, let's take it gradually before we get to the protest yesterday. Last week, the PDP, under the leadership of Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, said that Nigeria under Tinubu was almost at the path of becoming a country like Venezuela. And Venezuela is from the South American, and with my research, the country is currently facing a myriad of challenges ranging from corruption, scarcity of food and medicine, shutdown of business, and high unemployment rates, amongst others. And Venezuela is supposed to be a country that is very rich because they have one or two things that are supposed to make money for them. The PDP said the country is gradually turning to Venezuela. Now, add this to it, Professor Lojo Dokum, before I go to Comrade Shoniolu. Now, the APC came out under and slammed the PDP. The federal government and the ruling of Progressive Congress knocked the state governors under the platform of the PDP, who demand the resignation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because they demanded that if he cannot take the country to the next step, they demand the resignation. They said President Tinubu is working his way on making the country work out, and the PDP governor should face each of their states govern them well and let President Tinubu focus on the country, stating that the problem the country is facing is a problem where the PDP created for the country before now. You talked about this, Komedolu Ojedokun, Professor.
Yeah, let's very quickly just note that Venezuela has possibly the largest petroleum crude oil reserves in the world. When he compares us to Venezuela, I think we are very far from Venezuela. We're very, very far. But I think he's talking about the trajectory. He must be referring to the trajectory.
Okay.
As to the political points that were made that the PDP is responsible for the problem that we are, I think, I take that with a pinch of salt. Okay. Or even though one might argue that the largest peace growth in terms of economic development was under the PDP, and they have less to show for it than the APC that borrowed us to oblivion and have at least some things to show for it. So you see, the question is, do we have money and we don't spend it? Or do we have money and we spend it like a drunken sailor, but we have a few buildings here and there and a few roads to show for it? It's brickbats between the two. I'm not sure that they're distinguishable, PDP, APC. I'm not sure one is better than the other.
Really?
No, I'm not sure that one is better than the other. But very clearly, what's the opposition party saying? What is the slate of ideas? What is their forum? What exactly the platform, rather, that they're advocating? What alternative do they have to the economic malaise rather, that we face? Yeah. What do they have to solution to the exchange debacle? The strength of the naira, the price of rice, beans, and gari. What are they advocating? So I don't see that they're advocating anything. They're condemning, but they're not advocating any alternative slate of ideas. Having said that, I'm not an apologist of this APC government, federal government, not at all. I feel that they are failing at the moment, but I feel also that before you can say they failed, you need to give them 2 to 3 years. But they're obviously failing, and somebody needs to interrogate their policies and come up with alternative. We cannot continue on this IMF model. We can't continue on something which is not homegrown, because Nigeria problems are peculiar. They are not the kind of problems that the West has faced. And you may argue that our problems, no other country has faced them before. Therefore, we must be innovative in our solutions and not borrow from the West.
The Catholic Bishop Conference in Nigeria has said that the current administration reform agenda has increased the hardship being faced by the citizens. The bishop noted that the inflation has rendered it changing to the tropical Nigeria to afford essential commodities such as food, items, and medication. He said the agenda that the government is actually going through are the reason why Nigeria has been facing. He said the reforms that the government is going, especially the exchange rates and everything, and especially the removal of subsidy. He said those are the reason why. I'm talking about the committee girl of the bishop said this are the reason why Nigeria is actually facing this. What's your opinion about this before I go to Committee?
I'm not sure that the government had a choice than to remove subsidy, but the problem was that they had nothing in place. What the government should have done is put something in place so that when they remove the so-called subsidy, because the reason why some of us supported it was that many of the elite and the rich were actually the ones benefiting from it rather from all. But they had nothing in place. Some of us had advocated that if you are going to remove subsidy, then you must have an effective tax system. You understand, not for the poor, but for the rich in terms of road tax and so on and so forth, which ensures that we have ongoing palliatives, not a one in the blue palliatives, but palliatives that allow people to live with the after effect, the impact, you understand, of the removal of subsidy. The government still has not come with a solution. 8 months thereon, you understand, people are still reeling from the effects of the removal of subsidy.
Okay, I want us to come to Facebook. I'm coming to you now, Comrade Shoniolu. Please come to Facebook at Prince 89.7 FM Ibadan. There's a short video I want to play, and we'll also listen to it now. So then I will ask Comrade Shoniolu to react to this. Please come to Facebook at Prince 89.7 FM Ibadan and let's listen to this.
No matter how long you protest, though, we are going to remove subsidy. That is the truth. That is the truth. Unless you don't, and I'm going to, no matter how long you protest, though, we are going to remove subsidy. That is the truth. That is the truth. Unless you don't, and I'm going to win this election.
Yes, that's the voice of the president, then the candidate, the flag bearer of the APC. He said that no matter how long the people protest, the protest has not started then. He said no matter how long they protested, he will still remove the subsidy. There were applauds from people that are gathered there that day. Nobody talks about it. He said, and emphatically, he made it clear that he will still become the president, no matter the policy. Comrade Shoniolu, there were protests around Ibadan metropolis, and guess what they are talking about? The high cost of food, especially they name the food, the rice, the gari, the gas, to fill the gas, and let's say the normal basic commodities that Nigerians use. Now, there was a protest I guess in 2012, where Jonathan actually increased it to 142 per litre or thereabouts.
Yes.
And there are some insinuations that this current administration then supported the protest then. Now the protest has started yesterday. Do you think if we are not careful, we will experience such a thing? Because the protest then was what some people call the mother of all protests. It has started in Ibadan yesterday. And if you're around Ibadan and metropolis, you will understand that these people were really determined. And guess what? They said they will continue today. Our reporters were there yesterday. We are still waiting for their calls. Probably we'll receive the call from them. The protest has started yesterday. Your opinion about this?
So, as a reform of the government's agenda to end fuel subsidy, it has continued to put many Nigerians impoverished and wanton in suffering, because we can see that the government itself did not place a back-end relief that is ought to soften and absorb the pressure that the Nigerians are facing now. I mean, not to talk about the fact that most of 80 million Nigerians live less than the line of $2. And that's very disheartening, because the price of forex scarcity has also affected the domestic airline, which has grounded about over half of the airlines and aircraft useless, because these people came out with an agenda from Daily Trust, where I got the source, that over, for instance, 100 aircraft, we have over 50 that are currently working.
Okay.
Less than 50 rather that are currently working, and the rest are under maintenance or due for the ground. And this is because of the high cost in dollar, because these people, for instance, to make a comprehensive check of ground maintenance for C check, it costs maybe about $1 million to $1.5 million.
I need to let you hold your thought, please. Hello, good morning. Hello. We are expecting calls from our reporters on the field from the day 2 of the protest in Oyo State. So if they are available now, so we'll get their calls and everything. Now let's go to the solutions now. Now before then, a particular minister, the former minister under President Muhammadu Buhari, his name is the former minister of sports, his name is Solomon Dalong, criticized the Tinubu-led administration. Dalong is still an APC member. We need to note that as well, for consistently attributing the Nigerian economic challenges to the ex-president Muhammadu Buhari. He said in a series of tweets yesterday, he said the administration of Tinubu is actually coming up with policies that are making the country go into what they are facing right now. That is not just President Muhammadu Buhari that is actually causing the issues for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He should focus on his administration and leave President Muhammadu Buhari. Your opinion about this?
Definitely, we need to stop dwelling on the fact that the incoming or the previous government administration, they are the ones responsible for it. And this was what this same APC made us feel during Jonathan's administration.
All right.
In 2015. They made us believe that there was fuel subsidy. And due to the way we saw things as of then, we were even still enjoying. Little did we know. We were enjoying. But we conceded. And look at where it has brought us now.
Okay. Now, Professor Olojodokum, because of our time. Now, Dalong criticized the reckless economic policy implemented by Tinubu government, such as subsidy removal without adequate measure, currency devaluation without stimulating production, and high governance costs. This is from Solomon Dalong, an APC active member.
Well,
The blame game has begun.
Well, the truth is clear, and the truth cannot be hidden, whether you belong to APC or PDP. Where I agree with Dalong, particularly, is in the area of governance, the high cost of governance. They came in with 47 ministers. They came in increasing the allocation, the budgetary allocation to the National Assembly. They came in increasing the allocation to the Chief of Staff in the office of the president. They came in giving the office of the first lady a budgetary allocation. So all these things, of course, point to the fact that spending has continued unabated, that the priorities of the governments are misplaced, and that we are not all in it together. So I support Dalong with that sense. In terms of the subsidy, yes, he has a point. There was nothing put in place at the back end, to take care of the subsidy. In terms of the Naira, that's more problematic. The problem of the Naira does not start with Tinubu, and I hope it ends with him. It started long before. But let me tell you one point which happens. The Naira always weakens when monthly allocations are being given. Why? It is because when monthly allocations are being given, a lot of the states, through their security vote and so on, convert it into dollars. And when you convert it into dollars, of what are you doing? You understand? There's a rush to get the dollars, a rush to get the few dollars there. And of course, that jacks up the strength of the dollar, and of course reduces that of the Naira. And of course, there's also the issue of domiciliary accounts. Many people have domiciliary accounts, have no business owning it. Okay. So from that point of view, yes, I may agree with that.
Okay, let's open the phone lines now. 070 47,000 897, 070 47,000 897, or 070 48,000 897, 070 48,000 897. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Pastor Tosin.
This should be Comrade Benga Mario.
Yes, thank you very much.
Please make your point.
Good morning, Professor Oluwajedogun.
Yes.
Now, on the short video being played by Mr. Tosin a while ago, while President Tinubu was talking about how he was going to remove the first subsidy, no matter what he does, he's going to get to the end of power. That is the basis for the problem we are facing in Nigeria today. The present government doesn't understand the terrain anymore. The first step Tinubu took on the day of his inauguration is the bane of what you are presently witnessing in the country. Mr. President removed the subsidy, and that simple move began to compound our problem gradually. Until now, the various steps we are trying to take in curtailing those problems, we are not initially planned and prepared for, and that is why things kept on getting worse day by day. You know that the price control measure earlier condemned by Mr. President is what he finally endorsed by inviting stakeholders in those that are selling cement yesterday, and they agree on a fixed price that the cement is sold at 8,000 naira from the initial price of 5,000 naira. Who does that? During the regime of Jonathan, how much was a bag of cement? During the regime of Buhari, how much was the bag of cement? Now, Tinubu met it at 3,000 or 35 or 4,000. Now, they reached a consensus yesterday that the bag of cement should be sold for 8,000 naira. In fact, the ACC government is not really FM. And on the issue of APC having producing three governorship candidates as their whatever yesterday or whatever, I think that shows us that the party itself needs they need what we call a shake-up in their party. We don't want APC again. Let them leave us alone.
Okay.
And I believe we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benga Mario, for your points this morning. 070 47,000 897, 070 47,000 897, or 070 48,000 897, 070 48,000 897. International audience can call +234 092 19584 59. But Nigeria, you can call 070 47,000 897 or 070 48,000 897. Yes, the son of the eldest son of the president, Sheyi Tinubu, made a statement on his X account yesterday, coming from the backlog of the protest in Ibadan. He made a drop. He dropped a point on his Twitter handle yesterday. He played with Nigerians to exercise patience with his father's administration, as that promised that his father is going to weather the storm of the economic in time past. That they should give him more time. And guess what? Immediately there are some remarks that followed him immediately. For example, there's a particular comment from a Twitter user. He said the most painful part of this is that this our brother is using a particular wristwatch. He said the most affordable one of their wristwatch is $480,000. Then, if you want to get it in a store, it's $750,000. He said they should first stop the lavish way they're spending the money, or before coming back to speak to them. The son of the president is saying we should calm down. Nigeria should calm down.
Yes, you cannot deny the fact that Seyi Tinubu has been an industrious, creative, and innovative leader in the long-term industry before the swearing in of his father as the president. So you cannot question the source of his wealth or the lifestyle that he's living, because he's a successful mogul. I mean, in terms of all the billboards, or 80% of the billboards in Lagos, it's being controlled by Seyi Tinubu. You understand? So it is that he has that affluence already. So you cannot really say it is because of the presidential income that he's living that lifestyle. But in allusion to what he said, he ought to have not said anything. Because
Really?
yes, because obviously his father is not making any significant. The president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is not really coming up with any sort of relief for us. And we can see the protests that have sprung up in Kano, other states as well, which is still planning on going on, even Ogun, other states. So, Ibadan, we just need to have that reassurance from the government that they are with us. Okay. And I think that will give the people some sort of calmness, because we can see the way Jonathan also expressed his concern and empathy. But this is a very callous attitude.
Okay, we need to go. We need to go now. Now, Professor Oluojedokun, your message for the protesters in Ibadan and generally.
Well, I think that they shouldn't relent. I think they should be non-violent. I think they should be very clear in what their objectives are. Okay. At the end of the day, the optics matter. The optics we've been getting, the graphics we've been getting from the government are not encouraging optics. You cannot be living a life of influence, flying presidential jet for private events, and expect and funding a private office with government money, and expect these people who are dying on a daily basis and haven't eaten a square meal to listen to you.
We need to go now. A special thanks to everybody that listened to the program this morning. We really appreciate you for making Prince FM your #1 radio, and as well those that try to call, which the network wasn't connected, and those that called, we really appreciate you. On Facebook, wow, we really appreciate all your comments on Facebook this morning. Thank you very much. Special thanks to Professor Oluojedokun for coming.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you. Thank you very much for always being there, and also to Comrade David Shoniolu. Thank you for being there, my brother.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you so much. My name is Tosin Ajesola. I urge you to always continue to be a good citizen of Nigeria. May God bless Nigeria.
All views, opinions and comments on the program you just listened to are that of guests, callers and analysts, and does not in any way represent the endorsement or views of Prince 89.7 FM. We promise you up-to-date and unbiased information at all times as we continue to promote positive impact to humanity.
Yeah. 89.7. Prince 89.7 FM. Yeah. 89.7. Prince 89.7 FM. Prince 89.7 FM. Onisababiri for Mania.
Prince FM 89.7. Àwọn náà rẹ̀ ó ìkànnì onísàbàbíire. Ètò wa, ìròyìn wa, ìpolówó ọjà, ìgbélárugẹ orin wa. Èmi tẹ́ oúnjẹ Cosmo ní. Ó fa kìkì. Prince FM rẹ̀ ó là kọjá. Ìbàdàn nílé Olúyọ̀lé ló kalẹ̀ sí o. Ìbàdàn ni o. 89.7 FM ẹ máa gbọ́. Ìkànnì onísàbàbíire fọ́ọ̀mù nìyẹn o. Ó jẹ́ torí àgbọ̀dúnú àwa la ní. Ètò lóríṣiríṣi ó wà lọ́dọ̀ wa o. Kápolówó ọjà kájé bùgbàjẹ́. Ìròyìn ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ o ìbílẹ̀ ti máa gbọ́. Prince FM rẹ̀ ó là kọjá. Ìbàdàn nílé Olúyọ̀lé ló kalẹ̀ sí o. 89.7 FM ẹ máa gbọ́. Ẹ máa gbé kúrò. Ìkànnì onísàbàbíire fọ́ọ̀mù nìyẹn o. Ẹ wo àwa la lára gbàyídá ayé ti mọ̀ o tàná òjọ́ tèmi ní Prince FM o lọ́tún ara mi ti wá tẹ́ bá ti rọ́mọ bá o à ń ṣe dánsákì fún mi Prince FM rèé o mo là pọ́njá o Ìbàdàn nílé Olúyọ̀lé ló kalẹ̀ sí o 89.7 FM ìkànnì onísábàbíire fọ́gbọ̀nìyàn o nínú ilé nínú mọ́tò lọ́fíìsì yẹn nínú ilé epo tàbí nínú márúwá ó ṣe nílẹ̀ yìí jákèjádò àgbáyé o ìkànnì táyé gbọ́ ní Prince FM o Prince FM rèé o ó là mọ́jà dádì àmọ́ mi Ìbàdàn brothers and sisters lọ kálẹ̀ sí o ẹ máa gbọ́ 89.7 FM nílé lóko jákèjádò àgbáyé onísábàbíire fọ́gbọ̀nìyàn aláwàdàmọ́ ní Prince FM rèé o ó là mọ́jà 89.7 nílé Olúyọ̀lé ló kalẹ̀ sí o nìbàdàn wa 89.7 FM ẹ máa gbọ́ ìkànnì onísábàbíire fọ́gbọ̀nìyàn Ìbàdàn kí ni so.
89.7 Prince 89.7 FM. The news on Prince 89.7 FM.
Good morning, here are the headlines at 11 on Prince 89.7 FM, Ibadan. I am Adenike Adibara. Federal government promises to fix road, reduce import duties. Nigeria's former head of state, Yakubu Gowon, turns down federal government ECOWAS's invitation to speak on crisis. Wike seeks partnership with Qatar on tourism development and security. EFCC detains former Kwara Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed over diversion of 10 billion naira. U.S. calls for temporary ceasefire in Israel-Gaza war. That wraps up the headline at 11. Join us at 1 for more news updates. I am Adenike Adibara. Good morning.
89.7 Prince 89.7 FM. Kábíyèsí rẹ̀ Lédùmarè Prince 89.7 FM Ìbàdàn ìkànnì rẹ̀.
ẹ kú ìyálẹ̀ta èyí ni àwọn kókó ìròyìn tó ń jáde sí etígbọ̀yìn láti ìkànnì iléeṣẹ́ rédíò Prince 89.7 FM Ìbàdàn. Wálé Ọláògún lórúkọ mi. Ìjọba àpapọ̀ ti jẹ́jẹ́ láti ṣe àtúnṣe àwọn òpópónà àti láti mú àdínkù bá owó orí ọjà tí wọ́n ń kó wọlé. Ààrẹ ológun tẹ́lẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí ọ̀gágun fẹ̀yìntì Yakubu Gowon ti kọ ìwé ìpè tí ìjọba àti àjọ ECOWAS fi pè é láti wá sọ̀rọ̀ lórí rògbòdìyàn. Wike ó ń béèrè fún àjọṣepọ̀ pẹ̀lú orílẹ̀‐èdè Qatar lórí ìdàgbàsókè ìrìnàjò afẹ́ àti ètò ààbò. Àjọ EFCC ti fi gómìnà tẹ́lẹ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara Abdul Fattah Ahmed sí àhámọ́ látàrí bí ó ṣe darí owó tó tó bílíọ̀nù 10 náírà gbàbòmíì lọ. Ilẹ̀ Amẹ́ríkà ti pèpè fún dídáwọ́ ìjà dúró níwọ̀nba ráńpẹ́ láàrin ogun tó ń wáyé láàrin orílẹ̀-èdè Israel àti Gaza. Èyí ló pin àwọn kókó tó jáde nínú àwọn ìròyìn wa fún ti àkókò yìí. Ẹ pàdé wa fún láago kan ọ̀sán fún àwọn àkọ̀tún kókó míì. Wálé Ọláògún lórúkọ tèmi. Ẹ ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń tẹ́tí gbọ́ wa.
Kábíyèsí rẹ̀ Lédùmarè Prince 89.7 FM Ìbàdàn ìkànnì rẹ̀.
Prince FM 89.7 àwa náà rẹ̀ o ìkànnì onísábàbíire ètò wa ìròyìn wa ìpolówó ọjà ìgbélárugẹ orin wa. èmi tẹ́ oúnjẹ cosmoni ó fa kìkì.
ó wà lùgbàgbọ́rọ̀ mi gbọ́rọ̀ títì. Prince FM ọmọ ọba ní dádé ilẹ̀kẹ̀ ọ̀run níta àwọn ìjòyè. Prince FM ìjòyè kíjòyè kẹ́kì bá máa bá ta kàngbọ̀n láàfin. bí kìnìún bá wọ̀gbẹ́ tí gbó ti jù á sí mi títì. Prince FM orin àgbọ̀fikọ́gbẹ́ ọkọ̀ ọ̀jọ̀kọ̀ ètò alárinrin ìròyìn àsìkò eré ìdárayá ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti gbàdégbà ìránnilétí àṣà àdáyébá. Prince FM ló ní gbogbo rẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ ó lé wọn bá ọ̀tá wọn yọ kàṣàgbọ́à. má gbé kúrò má yí kúrò fi sílẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ kó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ kó sàárọ̀ bó sọ̀sẹ̀ bó sọlẹ̀ Prince FM àjàntí ẹ̀lẹ́ rédíò òru ọ̀mẹ́ni ọ̀wọ̀ wọ́n ń gbọ́ wa nítòsí àti ọ̀nà jíjìn kárí ayé ẹ máa gbọ́ adùn òrèké yàtọ̀ sí adùn oyin Prince FM 89.7 ẹ máa gbọ́ wa nìṣó.
Prince 89.7 FM onísábàbíire fún ènìyàn.
Prince FM 89.7 àwọn náà rẹ̀ ò ìkànnì onísábàbíire ètò wa ìròyìn wa ìpolówó ọjà ìgbélárugẹ orin wa. èmi tẹ́ oúnjẹ cosmo ní. mo fa kíkì.
àjọ máa gbọ́ tiwa ní o Prince 89.7 FM àwa la ní ìkànnì yìí lọ́lọ́run gbà fún lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ positive ní pastor humanity lọ́lọ́run fi wá ṣe òru mẹ́ni ọ̀wọ́ Babátúndé ọmọ Balógun aláṣẹ ilé iṣẹ́ Prince 89.7 FM yìí nìbàdàn ọ̀rẹ́ mi máa gbé kúrò níbẹ̀ kájọ máa gbọ́ Abọ́sẹ̀dé Adé ìwà ló wí pé kájọ máa gbọ́ Prince 89.7 tiwa ni o.
Prince 89.7 FM ìkànnì onísábàbíire fún ọmọnìyàn.
yóò ti pẹ́ tó sẹ́ olúwa mo ní yóò ti pẹ́ tó èmi ń wojú rẹ̀ bàbá.
kábíyèsí rẹ̀ lẹ́dùnmarè Prince 89.7 FM Ìbàdàn ìkànnì rẹ̀.
Nàìjíríà yìí tí gbogbo wa ní kó máa gbọ́dọ̀ bàjẹ́ torí kò sí ibòmíràn tí a lè lọ àjò lè dàbí ilé ẹ jẹ́ ká sowọ́pọ̀ ká fìmọ̀ ṣọ̀kan gbé kémi gbé.